Because even in the midst of chaos, there's always a space for change and possibility. Let's welcome her on stage.
Tough times don't last, but tough hearts do. In the end, it's the strength that will pull you through. It's funny how life doesn't come with a calendar invite before it decides to flip your world upside down. January 16th, 2022. I had zero idea that it is going to be one of those days. The ones that shape you, break you, and then somehow stitch you back together. It started innocently enough with a peaceful bike ride with my grandfather. The morning air was calm, and bam! A life altering accident changed everything in an instant. I don't remember much from that day, which is wild considering how much it shaped me. My clearest memory, though, is waking up the next day, covered in bandages and pain, thinking what had just happened. My parents were not in the town at that point of time, so when my mom heard the news, she video called me. Now, you would think that looking at her would bring me comfort. Well, I did not even recognize her. Imagine your own mother's face looking so unfamiliar. It's laughable now, but at that point, it was terrifying. Fast forward to me realizing how close I was to losing everything in one instant. One moment I was living life on autopilot, and the very next I was grappling with its fragility. Now, you can be a flower fighting a storm, but blooming through chaos, that's no joke. And here, it's where it gets bizarre. Now, healing is not just about the physical scars, it's about the strange, illogical things that we do while we are coping. For example, I've always been a bookworm. I love reading novels. But after the accident, someone said you should stop reading and focus on your recovery. So, what did I do? I stopped reading for a whole year. A whole year without my joy, my comfort. Ridiculous, right? Well, pain has a strange way of making us feel like strangers to ourselves. The real plot twist, though, is a literal stranger, the silver lining of my dark cloud. On the day of the accident, my grandfather did not carry his phone, and mine was a brand new one with no emergency info set up in it. So, this girl, the only person around that ungodly hour, managed to unlock my phone and call the last dial number, which was my dad's. Now, much later, my dad made me listen to that call recording, which obviously he calls as the worst moment of his life, as I heard his voice crack when he gathered that his daughter had been in an accident. Now, ships don't sing because of the water around them. They sing because of the water inside them. And boy, had I let some water in. Fear, uncertainty, and absurdity of it all was drowning me. But little by little, I patched those leaks. So life has ways of teaching you lessons in the most unexpected ways. This accident was my teacher. And the lesson? Resilience. So what if I told you that resilience was not about bouncing back, but about bouncing forward into something stronger, something better, and something more alive? The American Psychological Association, APA, defines resilience as coping well in the face of adversity, trauma, and significant stress. So it's not about avoiding challenges, rather about learning to face them, grow stronger, and maybe even uncover a new meaning all along the way. And healing taught me a lot, not in the neat Instagram code kind of a way, but it was raw, messy, and full of unexpected realizations. The pain we carry, it's often lighter than the heavy weight we assign to it in our minds. And healing, it's not a straight path. It's chaotic, unpredictable, very raw, very messy. There were days when I wasn't even sure if I was hormonally sad, seasonally sad, or actually sad. But here's the thing, resilience is not about pretending to be untouchable. It's about living with the pain, embracing that mess, and still choosing to show up. Now, there is this line in Paul Kalanithi's When Breath Becomes Air, one of my very favorite novels, by the way. So he says that he walked out of the doctor's office gathering that he had terminal lung cancer. Now, there's no cure to that. But when he walked out of the doctor's office, he saw that the world kept moving. Nothing changed. Cars honked, people walked, the sun shone, and he wondered that why are these people behaving so normally? Because I'm gonna die. But that irony struck me too. Lying on the bed, grappling with the fragility of it all, it hit me. The world outside hadn't paused, but mine had. And in that pause, I realized something very important. What you're not changing, you're actually choosing. That's when I took my road to healing. And healing takes effort. Sometimes even getting out of bed feels impossible. So, what do we do? Well, I'll tell you what did I do. I just jumped back into my routine right after 1 week of that accident because I couldn't stand sitting idle. So, staying busy distracted me from everything I did not want to face. While my physical wounds did heal within a few months, but something still felt wrong. Something did not change. Something was not feeling normal, not in my head at least. And that's when I realized that the real damage was not visible. I kept pushing through, studying, working, pretending to be okay, just like the world expects resilience to look like. But that's when I realized that recovery is not about just being functional. It's about being alive again. It's about feeling alive again. So I started embracing imperfection. Sometimes you just have to do your best and not more than that. And a bad moment does not define a bad life. It is just a part, one chapter of your whole story. And miracles, they don't always look like what you expect them to. Sometimes just getting through the day is the miracle. So here's a takeaway for you. Resilience is not about never falling apart. It's about picking up those pieces, growing stronger, and finding joy even in that chaos. And as they say, a good life needs some bad days too. And maybe, just maybe, it's about picking up that novel again. Thank you.